Back. Well, I should say that actually into the mic.
Yeah.
What was your question, Becca?
Which one? The one I was just talking
about? The one you
about?
said that you didn't like, but
Okay, yeah. But I didn't want to stay on the podcast because I think it's dumb. Okay. So I thought of a phrase yesterday that I thought was clever. And I don't remember if this is exactly what I thought of originally, but this is the closest I can get to it. It doesn't feel as clever as what I might have thought of first. But anyway, the phrase is, I'm not a liar, but I am good at saying things that aren't true. Is that like
saying you're good at it?
Maybe, in the right context, if you're like fucking with somebody, I like to say things that aren't true, I guess, to see if people believe me when I say it.
I do that all the time.
I used to fuck with Nick a lot. Oh man, I would fuck with Nick so much. I would just say things just to see if he'd believe. Like, we were going down Pellissippi Parkway one day, and we're going by one of those radio towers that have the antennas up there on those towers, like they look like huge drums, right?
Yeah.
So we were going by it, and I was like, here's how those work. There's a band in there, but there's also there's a DJ at the studio, and he tells them what to play, and they're up there in that tower beating away on those drums.
No way. That's like something my dad would have told us when we were kids.
And at the time, I swear I had him. But I asked him years ago, we were passing it again. It's like, hey, remember that shit I told you about that tower? He's like, yeah, man, I didn't believe that. It was just fun to play along. So he was reversing it. He was doing a reverse fuckery. He got me back.
Yeah, that's good.
Mind games. Did you tell him ceiling fans are safe for your hands?
Yeah, I told him that, and he believed that to his grave.
Ceiling fans are safe for your hands? What?
There was this time many years ago, I was hanging out with Nick one day, and I guess I started texting with Bekah, and I was like, well, we're just playing we're playing Frisbee golf on the Wii, and on, Wii Sports. And I was like, you come hang out and drink some beers with us if you want. And so we went and got her, and we're playing it. Every time Nick would do good, he would throw his hands up, and his ceiling fan was right above him, and he did it 5 times, and his knuckles were bleeding by the time we were done.
What the hell?
He just throw his hands up. Oh! If you guys know Nick, that's how he oh!
What?
We got to get Nick on the podcast.
Yeah, we do.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Awesome.
Welcome to Verbal Assault. My name is Nathan Eckel. How's everyone? Becca's
tired.
We've heard from Bekah.
Yep, tired.
That's also what I'm hearing from Patrick. He's red as a lobster over there.
Yeah.
Jordan, you can tell he's been digging into some Jordan Peterson. He's into lobsters now.
Yep. Lobster, steak.
What?
Chicken.
What does that mean?
You guys obviously aren't into Jordan Peterson.
No.
Lobster reference.
No, I got sunburned. I was at
huge meme. Huge meme.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was at Dollywood all day with my sister.
Oh, gotta put that sunscreen on.
Captain Ron's favorite.
Gotta put that sunscreen on.
Well, it was overcast when we got there, and then eventually
That's when it gets you,
sun just decides to pop out.
Yeah. I've heard of people getting burnt through overcast.
Yeah. That is bullshit. That's such bullshit.
Not true.
I've heard that
It's
my
true.
entire childhood, and that has never happened to me.
I
I've
have.
walked around plenty on cloudy days and not been sunburned.
I
have a
on the
bald head.
clouds.
Look at me. I have a bald fucking head, and I rarely wear a hat.
It depends on the type of cloud.
It does. Yeah, it's because you get burnt not by the brightness of the sun, it's by the ultraviolet light. So if the ultraviolet light can penetrate the clouds, then it can still burn you.
But it is a certain type of cloud.
Yeah, and I'm sure if it's thick.
A penetrable type of cloud.
Yeah, it's cirrus or one of those.
Oh,
Cirrus
yeah.
gets penetrated.
Yeah.
Cirrus clouds. Those are real cirrus.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaking my head.
SMH.
Steve-O, how you doing?
Good. Did anybody go out and look at Mars?
I just
I think I saw it.
I got a friend who takes pictures of it, so I just wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah, where are those at?
Space Coast Steve, that was an amazing tweet.
Yeah, I haven't put it out. I'm actually gonna go out again tonight and see if I can get something better. So I'm gonna put. I've got two things I'm gonna put up on the Verbal Assault Facebook once this episode comes out. One is the time lapse of the moon and Mars drifting across the sky, and then the other was I went to. I don't remember if I brought it up to you guys. The compound. You guys remember me talking about the compound? The 200 roads of undeveloped roads was supposed to be a subdivision. Well, I went out there and it's pretty damn cool. Like you don't really see anybody else. There's not many people out there. Like we saw a few other cars and nobody wanted really to do with anybody else. It was anybody that was out there was kind of like keeping to themselves, like messing around in their own area. There was I had my drone. I had a friend of mine that I work with came with me, and we were flying the drone around. You know, of course, I had the camera doing the time lapse thing. There was a guy maybe a half mile from us. You could see him flying his model airplane around. We were in one spot where we were kind of at first by ourselves, but then this dude comes in with like a 90-something Honda Civic, just burning laps. You know, he'd just find a block and just burn laps around it. But he passed us, you know, and I was like, I wonder if this dude sees that we're, you know, I'm kind of trying to do something over here. He actually did stop, and he was like, hey, if you guys are trying to use this area, I can just go over there. I was like, trying to be polite. No, you know, it doesn't really belong to me. You know, you do whatever you want. He's like, no.
He just gave you the.
Yeah, I know, but I was just trying to be cool. But he was like, no, man, I insist. I'll go over there. There's plenty of road out here. I'll go burn laps over there, and that's what he did. So he went over and left me alone where we were. It was cool. Just open fields, really nice grass. If you guys saw that video, that was just a video from my phone, like the flowing. You know, you see the wind flowing on the tops of the grass, and I imagine it's because it was supposed to be a subdivision. They probably planted really nice grass out there, you know, because there was a lot of areas with this really bright green, just flowing grass. It was really cool.
Build houses, would they? They
I
plant
mean,
the grass
kind of,
after.
Well, that kind of really nice grass doesn't just grow. I mean,
yeah, it didn't seem like normal. Just like what is it, like Bermuda, something that you see around a lot the most?
Yeah,
Bermuda Triangle?
Sand spurs and shit like that.
Down in Florida, this isn't a pun. This is truth. It's called St. Augustine grass. Oh. It's really thick. It's good, tolerant type. Grows in beach sand.
But yeah, you guys know about sand spurs, right?
Oh yeah.
Don't fuck with those. Yeah.
What?
You'll spend the rest of your day getting those fuckers off your socks and shoelaces.
Well, no, I mean the bad ones will stick into your skin.
Oh.
Like half an inch. They're like really small, hard seed kind of things with really sharp spikes.
That's nasty.
Yeah, these things are rough, man. Run through a patch of those when you know, like a kid running around barefoot, and you run through those.
Oh,
that's why I always wear
It's like
shoes.
you're chasing a ninja, and he dropped the caltrops behind him.
Well, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that. I get that.
I used to have some caltrops. I thought it was so cool. I never got to use them though, unfortunately.
Hey, really quick, I do want to go back to the Mars thing just so people don't forget. Go out and look at Mars right now. This is the closest it's going to be to Earth in like the next 80 years or something. And it's really bright. It's the bright red thing you've been seeing in the evening sky. With a decent pair of binoculars or a telescope, you can actually make out the polar ice caps. So
which direction would I want to, like, roughly?
Well, it's going to rise mostly in the east and set mostly in the west, but it's going to be kind of in the southern sky. Once it starts getting dark, it'll be kind of in the southern sky, but, you know, I don't know, kind of like 45 degrees up or something like that. Just, you know, look towards this. If it's early in the evening, like before midnight, then it's going to be towards the south, but more to the east. And then, you know, after midnight, it'll be towards the south, but more to the west.
Okay.
You said with a good telescope?
It doesn't even have to. I mean, at least as good as mine, because mine, it still looks like a little tiny dot. It definitely looks orange, and I could make out just a little bit of whiteness at the top and the bottom of it. You know, it's not like highly detailed in mine, and mine's it's a reflector telescope that is 114 millimeter It's like 4 inches or something like that.
That's sad. When he starts talking about stuff like that, all I hear is.
Yeah.
Hey, why keep throwing your blanket around?
Well, I got a bigger one because last week you guys said you could see. This is a different blanket. So
it doesn't have planets on it.
No, I'm gonna get another one. I'm just gonna pay for one that's wide because that thing was.
Steve-O,
I think what you could do is take that one and just put the planets over it, so you still have the cover and the planets are still there.
Or
you could do
guys, I'll be right back. Hang on.
puff paint and
Puff paint. Yeah.
or chroma key that and just put random pictures behind you on the stream.
Yeah, that'd be better because I actually do. These are blankets that actually get used.
You said chroma key? Is that what it's called?
You guys have actually slept under these blankets. I'm pretty sure.
Brad's not been home all week.
Yeah, they get some use. You know what I'm saying?
So chroma key is where it's like a green screen.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just you use it on the software.
So what you could do is take a picture of the blanket with the planets and then chroma key that the black one behind you.
See, I don't know if that'd be possible. I was looking into how to split your webcam to be able to use it in 2 different applications, and you just you have to do these other tricksy things. Download this app, and then it streams it to a service, which streams it back to this thing. So I wouldn't be able to run it through that program and then also be in the Hangout with you guys.
Hey, Dave 70,
It's a learning process.
I'm going to introduce you.
Oh,
That's you.
All right.
Crosstown Bino. Check him out on Mixer. He's quickly becoming famous.
I don't know about that, but my nanometer slice of the internet. Yeah, from the Binosphere.
What are your people? The Binoites?
Binoids.
Bino.
Binoids.
I guess I'll start off here. I want to talk about this guy Tommy Robinson. You guys remember me talking about him being arrested? He was a guy that he was live streaming outside of a court case in the UK about a what's the word? They call them grooming gangs, when really what they were is rape gangs. They would kidnap it was Muslim gangs would kidnap young white girls and basically force them into prostitution, get them hooked on drugs. And this has happened all over the UK. So he was reporting that. He was outside reporting that. And he had gotten in trouble for it before because he went into the courthouse the first time and they told him, you can't come inside. You got to be a certain distance away. He was out on the street. He thought he was in a safe place to do it. Well, he apparently wasn't. So he got snatched up by the police, and he literally went straight to the judge and then went to prison. So he just this week got out of prison after 2 months because he finally was able to launch an appeal of that decision, and he did get released. But he's just he's now talking about what was done to him in prison. And if you see, I tried to find a side by side photo, and I couldn't find one. But he lost like 40 pounds, and he described what happened to him. And it'll make you, if you read into the story and see his interviews, it will make you so mad and never want to go to the UK again. Because he was politically persecuted. So what they did was, he first was in this prison, which was a pretty, it wasn't a bad prison. It was like, he actually went out, he was safe to go out in a general population, and he was okay. So what they did was, after about 2 weeks in there, they moved him to the most Muslim populated prison in the UK. And he's one of these people that in the UK, very few people that are actually speaking out against the problems that are happening in those communities. And so what they did is they brought him into that prison and they said, well, we have to protect you. So now you're going to be in solitary confinement. So what they did then was they locked him in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. And the thing is, they set his room by where his outside window opened up to the outside yard, and there's no air conditioners in there. So he was describing what they did was, he has a window he can open and close, and he tried to open it to get some kind of air into his room, and he would get spit at. He had feces thrown at him through the bars of the window. He had to keep his window closed. Yeah. And then he would have people coming up to his room all the time talking about the shit they were going to do to him, things they were going to do to his wife and his kids. There were people allowed to do that. And then he was saying the reason he lost 40 pounds in 2 months was because generally people, you go to the food line and you can see the people like spooning the food onto your plate and giving it to you. What they did was he was locked in, and they would have another inmate bring him his food and be like, hey, I hope you enjoy that meal, Tommy. You know?
Yeah.
So what he had to do is he had like 12 pounds a day that he could use to go to like the canteen or whatever. So he basically lived off of 1 can of tuna and a piece of fruit a day because he just didn't trust the food that he was getting. Yeah. And so he finally was able to do appeal, and basically it was that the judge was the highest judge basically in the UK. And I can't remember he had a very fancy title, right? The office that goes,
Lord Magistrate of everything in all pretty colors.
His office goes back like 700 years or something, but he basically said like this whole thing was Tommy didn't have time to prepare a defense. The judge didn't even watch the entire video that was supposedly the reason that he was thrown in prison in the first place. Yeah. And even that video he took down immediately when they told him to, because it was on Facebook. Basically the whole thing, was, the judge said this was all wrong. But the thing is, and he was released on bail, but he still has to go back and face the contempt charges still. So he still might end up being in jail, but it's, I can't really do justice to the story, but it's definitely one that you should watch his interview with. It's on. It's a Canadian company, news organization called Rebel Media. He did a quick interview, and he's like not the same person. He's like he's twitchy. He's kind of stuttery. And apparently he had been in solitary confinement before, and he had some PTSD from that, because that will fuck with you. Yeah. And but he's it's a real, like, I will never go to the UK at this point, how bad it is over there, the way that you could be politically persecuted for reporting on a story and only reporting information that was also reported in other newspapers. So it's just really fucked up. And I don't know.
Yeah, I found the page. Yeah, if you just Google the Rebel Media Tommy, you'll find this interview he's talking about, y'all.
Yeah. But if you could just see a picture of the still, like how fucking gaunt he is.
Yeah, he's really skinny. I mean, I can show you guys if you want. But, yeah, he looks, let's see. I mean, that's just the, oh shit, that's all there is. That's just the, from the video.
Yeah, he's basically in that, he talks about a lot of the things I've just said, but,
I've got it muted. I was just going to see if I could see a better picture of what he looked like now. But yeah, he's definitely lost a lot of weight. That's for sure.
Yeah. UK's got a lot of problems right now. The free speech is basically, it's non-existent. There's a protected.
When Trump was over there, they were protesting big time. There's all about the gold baby or the
gold baby,
whatever it was, the
big orange baby. I mean, that big inflatable balloon. I want one of those. Yeah, it was funny.
I mean, they seem to be able to protest that fairly easily.
Well, of course you can protest Trump. Like that's the thing. That's okay. That's politically correct. To hate Trump is okay. To talk about issues with immigrant communities is definitely not okay, and that's why these rape gangs, that's why they were perpetuated, because the police were afraid to be called racist. They couldn't talk about it. And this has been said, this is all over the place. It went on for years simply for that. And look at what has happened to him. If you speak up about these issues at all, even if there was a black woman in the UK who, she considers herself a feminist, and she talks out about this, and she's called a bigot and a racist because there's such a protected class. You can't say anything about Islam in any way.
But even the judge is too scared. Like the judge wants to punish Tommy Robinson?
Not the second judge.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because he finally got the appeal. But the first, I mean, it's weird that even the higher ups in the government, that would be, removed, I would think, to some extent from actually having serious retaliation.
The United Kingdom, it's very, and I don't know much about it. I know a little bit because I follow some British people on YouTube, but it's a very classist kind of society. Like, it is a lot of it's from where you're from, the kind of accent you have. You got some high lord whatever in the he's a judge and he's got his fucking robes and his wig on. And Tommy Robinson, he's from a lower working class. He has that accent, and those are all of his friends, and those are the people that face the kind of issues with the refugees that are coming in and committing all these crimes and shit, and the knife crimes and all that's going on over there. Like the stabbings in London, the numbers in that are ridiculous. So it's a very much like, who are you to say this kind of thing? There's even a picture when he was being arrested that first time. The judge there's a picture of the judge up in a window looking down and laughing as he's being arrested. So it's like, I hope they turn it around. UKIP, which is the UK Independence Party, has gained a boost from some major kind of free speech oriented YouTubers. Actually, and it was the main kind of Brexit party, the British independence movement from the EU, which they voted on, fighting for 2 years to just have it happen.
And now, like, there's a lot of people wanting to reverse it, right?
Yeah, it's been a constant fight to have anything happen with that. But there's my political issue thing today. I don't.
But it's a follow-up.
Yeah,
it's been an ongoing story.
Kegel's here.
Oh, look at Kegel.
Whoa! Yes, appearance.
I thought you were going to go wassailing.
I don't know. I guess I could check on here.
We're going to go out and practice with our cameras. He wants to try shooting rocket launches. We're going to go wassail and practice.
Right now?
All right. Well, we'll see you then.
Yeah, gotta go. Gotta go, guys.
Short podcast.
Patrick, you said you sent Steve a story.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I sure didn't see it.
I emailed it to you.
Okay, well, we'll pull it up. I gotta cover up my email part. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I got two links. So they're the same.
They're the same. I don't know why I sent two, but
all right.
So it's a school district to arm students with giant pepper spray canisters to deter shooters.
What? With giant pepper spray?
Add up.
No, it's an Ohio school district. They are getting a smart pepper spray. Yeah, there's
tactical grades.
Yeah,
tactical first grade pepper spray.
First grade. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything for reference, but man, that looks fucking huge, man. That's not you can't fit that in your pocket.
No, it's going to be like in each classroom is what it reads. It looks like it's going to be in a glass thing. But the devices are tied to a notification system, so once the glass breaks, it sends out an alert. Yeah. Like police and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's a lot better than everything.
Baseball
bat, rocks. Yeah.
I thought they were other. When I read the headline and you read it out loud, I was like, I thought they were giving each kid.
Yeah, that headline is rather misleading.
Which, let's always remember, folks, the person that writes the article is not the person that writes the headline.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes,
I didn't know that. That's new to me.
Yeah.
So they're the ones to blame. I've seen a lot of authors of articles say, look, obviously they can't say much because the editors are boss, but I don't write the headlines. That clickbait, that ain't my fault.
Fuck out of my article, yeah. Basically.
I actually don't have a problem with this. I think it's one of the more reasonable things that we have seen all year about it. I mean, seriously, they gave out rocks.
Yeah.
That was a solution. And
Baseball
then tiny
bats.
little baseball bats.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the rocks. The rocks would at least make sense if they've made the kids attend PE and learn how to, throw a ball or, kick and run. But, there's no PE anymore, so kids don't know how to throw.
I mean, you look at that and you go, you probably could have used a fire extinguisher in some situations, at the very least, to spray it in the hallway to create where you can't see,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you're around the corner and you hear them coming, some brave ass going to take his fire extinguisher out, just that way at least you can't see for a few minutes. Okay, let's go.
Can we please just fucking up the security for getting in and out of these schools and have a couple armed security guards? This idea that we're going to have fucking a box of rocks. We're going to have a fucking one thing of pepper spray behind glass. When you have a guy that's going to fucking come in a trench coat that's probably got like 5 guns on him. And he's been planning this for a year and he's out of his fucking mind. It's like standing up and holding up a bullseye, like running over that fucking pepper spray like on the wall and pulling out the little thing and breaking it is like, oh, there's somebody to shoot.
Just get a giant magnet.
These aren't real solutions. They're bullshit. They could fix this problem. It's putting money into hardening the security of these schools.
And I think that's it. I don't think they could. I mean,
it's not a solution.
Okay. I mean, yours is not a solution either.
No.
It's still throwing. You're still throwing dollars after dimes. I mean, you're going, okay, well, we just need more armed guards.
They have to harden the actual schools. These guys fucking walked into the schools and then tripped the fire alarm. Then they had the people running on the hall. They need to be blocking off these entrances during the day. They need to be securely locked, and then people need to be like magnet locked in, and they need to be able to say like, "Hey, I don't have any machine guns." That's how you would that would be the best way to actually stop these things from happening.
I have an idea.
Well, you go ahead because there's something else that I want to say. Go ahead.
I have a solution, and I know that a lot of people feel differently about this, but if we have a gun problem in schools, we should probably ban schools.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
We should make all schools just VR.
Yeah.
Do it from home.
Oh,
yeah. That would work.
Yeah.
Now here's the other side, though. This week, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I respect it. But the whole fiasco this week that came out online where you could download the 3D printed guns plans.
Yeah.
And then that went away, which they went, oh, you can't do that, man. It'd already been downloaded over 400,000 times. Yeah. There's no metal detector that's going to take a plastic gun. And it's doesn't even have to be a big gun.
You can still pat somebody down.
Here's the thing.
You're gonna pat. How many students are at Heritage?
I agree. I'm just saying that. I mean, to go with Nathan's point, I don't agree, but I was just saying that you can fix that by patting down.
This 3D printed gun thing is so. What I understand, the cheapest 3D printer is like $8,000. The good ones are like $100,000.
How much is an AK-47?
Like $1,000.
You know what? I just figured out a really good way to pay for my 3D printer. I'd sell some 3D printed guns online.
Recoup that money quick.
And I'd recoup that money quick. I mean, it's a vicious circle. I mean,
it's illegal. They're fully okay. Here's the thing: those plans have metal parts. They have to have certain metal working parts to work. 100% plastic gun is illegal. You cannot make one of those. That is an illegal thing to have. These things still have metal parts.
It's illegal.
It's easier to just get an illegal real fucking gun.
Yeah, a lot easier.
But then to spend all this money, I'll spend $8,000 at the lowest to get a 3D printer. I'll download these plans, which require certain metal parts anyway, and then I'll get a gun that can fire like 3 shots before it breaks. Like it's not like you can just take this thing and mow down 100 people. You can't. They don't work very well. They're shitty guns.
The barrel will eventually give out. The barrel will give out as far as they go.
It's just like a whole lot of hype about there's the problem is bigger than just get, you can get an illegal gun easier.
Well, I get that, but you know, one of your arguments was, I mean, it's illegal to do that. Well, criminals generally don't care about legality matters.
True.
They're just criminals. They do illegal
right, and
things.
they would just get a better gun illegally.
And that's, but if they're going on rampage, all I'm saying is you're assuming that the same person that fires the gun is the same person that bought the printer, which is the same person. I mean, you get enough folks online, and I'm not. The problem here is I don't offer a solution. I'm just playing devil's advocate to what you're saying, which is, you know, it's not that simple. Those plans are already downloaded, and there are plenty of 3D printers around the world, and there are plenty of nefarious people who want to make a quick buck and don't give two shits why you want this plastic gun or why you need these 4 plastic guns. I mean, you bring violence to school for many different reasons. It can be a mass killing. It could be Mrs. Smith, it could be the ex-girlfriend. If your goal to project your violence and your angst upon other folk, you could probably make a decision as to I got 4 shots here before this gun dies, and I'm going to make those count.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is hardening a school against a mass shooting. If you have, after school starts, you know, you've got everybody coming in, they're going through metal detectors, searching bags, which happened even when I was in high school.
Me too.
So after that, you lock down and you have one door during the day that people can come into. You walk in that front door, you have 2 metal doors. You're in this middle door, there's somebody behind the window saying, "Who are you?" What's lift up your jacket, you know, whatever, and then we'll find out who you are, and then you walk in. That would stop these kind of attacks where it's basically a kid a lot of times that just got kicked out of school for some reason, and he's pissed at whoever, and he's got like 3 or 4 guns on him, and he's walking in to shoot everybody. That would be more of a deterrent, is what I'm saying.
Seems like they're starting to go that route, not the metal detectors, but it seems like most schools, when we deliver to them, you've got to hit some button, they've got to be able to see you, and then they buzz you in.
Down here in our very own local school system, just implemented a $27,000 program where you go into the metal door and then you offer your ID, and it does an instantaneous background check.
Whoa.
How much does that cost? Sweet.
$27,000.
No, the monthly background check on that.
Oh, I don't know, but I would imagine you pay a subscription fee.
It's linked into some.
Well, you can do 1,000 a month, and all it costs you is $400.
Well, but okay, so how many of these mass shooters are former criminals anyway? Aren't they usually just like crazy, and this is the first thing they've ever done?
Domestic violence issues, and mixed homes, not mixed homes, but you know what I'm saying is, somebody is coming to pick up a kid that shouldn't be picking up the kid. You know, they don't have custody of the child, and these kind of things. Now, in that situation, that's ideal. You're dealing with one-on-one, and you're only dealing with one at a time. But when it comes to the entire attendance of school and making sure that all these people are screened before they enter school at the beginning of the day, school starts at 8:30. You have 1,500 students in that entire school. What time do we need to be there to get screened? Is it like airport stuff? Do I need to get to school 2 hours to get in line for the scrub down? You know, I mean, it's logistical, and the hardening of the schools. I hear you, and that seems like a simple thing. It's a soft target. It's something we need to do. But where does this money come from? And what specifically are we talking about that hardens these things? I mean, when I was in school, what you're describing, and we had no violent situations, but what you're describing is exactly the way McMinn was. There was cameras. We were all, because, you know, we're teenagers. Oh, Big Brother's watching. I'm 17 and I've got issues. I mean, but they would lock it all up. I mean, that was great. some of the implementation of planning, of being able to leave the school, I guess they just didn't care about, because you could just leave willy-nilly. But as far as getting into school, it's a little more difficult.
Hell, at Heritage, half the time at Heritage, those doors at the ends of the hallways were open, and they were always supposed to be locked. Like, they were never very good with that security type stuff, you know. Doors would be open, and anybody could walk in anywhere. You don't have to go through the front door. You just pick a door, and you can walk in it usually. Obviously, they'd have to tighten that up. But I don't
doors anymore.
I don't know that. Like, I wonder what the long-term effects are of having kids grow up, you know, like under an iron fist, you know, like with these security guards all around, you know, like in squad type uniforms with the metal detectors and, you know, probably dogs or you know, like, what is it good to have kids grow up thinking that that's the norm? You know,
it sounds like we don't have a choice.
But what else do you do?
I mean, I hate it. Sounds like such a cliche thing, and I'm sure we've heard it many times in the news. And I'll say it here: kids should not have to be afraid to be at school. There's enough bullshit they got to be afraid of. Yeah. You know, they're worried about acne. They're worried about
getting laid.
They need to get their mind off of acne and getting laid. They need to think about being scared all the time.
Yeah, it's.
Well, being scared just makes it worse. Makes the acne
worse.
Worse.
When I was in elementary school, we had lockdowns, drills. We had drills all the time where they would say, okay, when this certain alarm sounds, everybody has to go over to this corner of the room and we're going to turn off the lights and everybody put some, like, your coat over your head or something.
They'll never know we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole school can hide
you
that
won't
way.
see the shooter that way.
That's Find somebody to hide behind.
Here's the solution.
If you can't see them, they can't see you.
When I was in, did other people not do that?
Just turn the lights off.
I've never heard the hide in the corner, put a over your head.
Put a trash bag over you. They'll think you're a parakeet.
It's like when my dad growing up in South Florida during the Cuban Missile Crisis with the nuke drills, having to get under the table and cover your
my
head
dad
and
talked
shit.
about that.
Yeah.
There was a pretty scary time there.
I was so fucked up about that in the 2nd grade that I wrote a book about it. I remember. I wish I had it. It was called the Bad People, and I drew a lady, like an older lady. Okay, think the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
I see it.
I drew her, and then 2 guys on either side of her, and they were Matt and Max, and they were her bad guy, like, lackeys.
Oh my God! You know what I hear, Nathan? I hear a novelette, some kind of short story series. Call it Bekah's Baggage. An animated tale.
Well, I've made every kid in my class read that book to help raise awareness of the bad people.
2nd grade pepper spray in there.
I just remember we had tornado drills. Hide under your desk.
Put your folder over your
Oh
head.
yeah, that was another one too. Yeah.
I remember tornado drills where you'd always face we would go out into the hallway and then we'd have to put our head between our legs and in a ball, but face the wall.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that spraying pepper spray at somebody with a gun is probably a bad idea because they could just be like, "Oh God," and just like wave their arms around?
Yeah,
it's a big possibility that could happen.
That's a good point.
Accidentally,
that's
even they might not even do it on
they
purpose.
Just get angry.
The reaction.
It just pisses people off. Is what I've heard.
Well, you can.
I'm even angrier.
Don't they?
My eyes hurt.
Don't they spray in a stream so you could shoot them from a little ways away? You don't have to be like right up
spider,
on them, do you?
Yeah, those kind of pepper sprays is more like a stream.
Yeah, so you could be like
silly
20 feet
string.
away.
What if we can we try to patent that silly string that's got pepper spray in it?
Oh God,
it'd be great for parties.
You heard it here first. Patent rights.
Patrick, timestamp that. Edit it out. I don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if anybody takes it, we would own the rights to it.
That's right. Let them make it.
We came up with the idea.
How can they prove that?
This is here.
I'm done.
It's audio recorded.
You have to timestamp it, Patrick.
It's timestamped with the audio recording.
I don't know what you're talking about. We got to timestamp it.
And we got it live right now talking about it. It's on the internet.
You heard it live. 865-316-6955.
I forgot that we were live. Okay.
You can't. It doesn't work that way.
I know you got to go file the patent.
Idea. It's patented.
Yeah, you have to set the patent.
I said it online on the stream.
It worked that way in a kind of similar situation for Disciple, the band Disciple from Maryville, Tennessee.
Disciple.
There was another band called Disciple, and they took our Disciple to court. And Disciple, Kevin, the lead singer, he had old flyers from when the band first started out where he had mailed himself this flyer so that it would have that official postage stamp on it showing when it was mailed. And he brought that to court and said, here, this has our name on it. We were playing shows back in whatever, and here's the proof.
How did his past self know that one day he was going to need that?
Yeah, I don't know. And that was always his advice, or some of his advice to all the younger bands, like, hey, make a flyer and mail it to yourself. And so we did.
Wow.
I guess somebody else told him that first.
Just
something they did back in the 70s or something, you know, like
mail to yourself. Yeah, that makes sense. I just mean like just the idea of like here's my invention idea. Like
I said it first.
It's like my dad's dad. We called him Pa. His joke of the mouse trap he made, which was he's like, yeah, I made this mouse trap. It's a ruler. And it runs off the end of a table, and there's a razor blade, this way at the end of the ruler. And so what the mouse does, it gets on the table and it's like looking around for the cheese, and then it gets to the ruler, and then it runs all the way to the end, and it looks down and it goes, "Where's the cheese?" and it cuts its own throat.
No way. Is that real? That's not real.
It's a grandpa joke.
Sometimes I forget like the beginning of sentences.
It's crazy.
Oh no, I don't know how true this is. I was looking up silly string pepper spray, and this article is on it called "Prison Swaps OC Spray for Silly String." So instead of macing their prisoners, they're just going to shoot silly string at them
and then light them on fire.
It's in Florida, Pleasantville, Florida.
Pleasantville,
yeah.
Doesn't sound very pleasant to me, right, guys?
But why? I don't understand.
I don't know.
For a good time. I mean, they're probably all under a lot of stress, being in prison and stuff.
It's like
we wanted to lighten the atmosphere and make inmates feel like they're in a more rehabilitative environment.
Yeah, and it's fun for the guards.
Silly string reminds the inmates of a simpler time and encourages them just to laugh off whatever was making them angry in the first place.
Onion. Fake news.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would, man. Silly string pisses me off.
I mean, why wouldn't you just get bubbles and just go out, blow bubbles in the yard? Some people go over here and work out. This group just blows bubbles.
Oh, it says humor spoof at the bottom for the tag.
Humor spoof.
This has been a humor spoof. Humor hoof. Hey, Bekah was there last Christmas at my family's place. My nephew, who's like, I don't know, he's like 4 years old.
I think so.
My mom she likes giving silly string. I don't know. She gave him silly string. I'm just sitting there on the couch, and he opens up and looks at me and just blasts me right in the face with it.
Nice.
You talk about being angry. my sister Eileen was like, "Now Nate, don't. He's a kid. He's just a kid.
Just a kid."
Just like, from like all over my glasses and.
Just don't light a match, man.
Heated about it, just talking about it.
Heated. It's hot in this room.
It is hot. Feels hot.
You guys, it always ends up feeling hot in here.
I even turned the AC to colder.
To cold.
This thing blocking me off from the rest of the room, so it's hot as fuck right here.
Yeah, good.
I have a fan this time. Last week I didn't have a fan. Now I have a fan. Hopefully, I don't think you can hear it. I'm pretty sure you can't hear it.
I can't hear a damn thing.
Hey guys, how do you feel about outlawing straws?
It makes no difference to me.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
What would be the reasoning for outlawing straws?
I mean, something about wildlife.
It's about the environment or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear one state just banned straws, the first thing that comes to your mind is not. There's probably no real reason for that.
The thing in my mind is California.
What the hell? I was just gonna say, what the hell is California
Oh,
thinking
so
now?
that's what it is? Because I was seeing something with Starbucks saying
Yeah,
they
it's
weren't
really
going to
just
do
companies. Yeah, Starbucks, and then somebody else followed suit.
Or like only by request or something. Is that?
Well, here's a lot. I don't know if this was in just a town or if this is on all in all of California. And I should have looked up more on it because I kept finding different stories about like different cities were doing different things. But the one I saw was if you go to a restaurant and a waiter gives you a straw that you did not request, then that could be $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
What?
And rightfully so.
Or
that's bullshit.
The waiter, the manager, somebody.
Damn. I didn't want this fucking straw.
You know what that's the last straw.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
That's right.
That's
right. You drew the short straw, buddy.
It sounds as bad as like selling a large soda in New York.
Yeah.
Like the fines are insane in the prison time.
There was an episode of Science Friday that talked about this straw stuff, and they had like some kind of straw expert or something, but
yeah. The straw expert. What's their name?
Yeah.
Lenny, it's like Lenny from down the street. He goes to 7-Eleven to get his big gulp every day. He's a straw expert. He prefers the vertical red and white straw, bendy straw.
Yeah.
It's really favorite.
Yeah.
I know about straws. I know about straws.
Mine
straws
was
are my thing.
Mine was the A&W straws. They're orange. They're huge.
fat.
Yeah, they're fat
straw.
straws. I like the fat
Suck up all that
straws.
root
You like
beer.
that for your
Yeah.
sounding
Real
as
quick.
well? A good
Yes.
straw.
Get it nice, stretched out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Apparently, some places will use pasta for a straw,
That sounds
and
Like
they
Twizzler.
recommend. They said it's like with the pasta straw, you're good. You know, as long as you drink whatever you got in a couple hours. But if it goes more than like 5 or 6 hours, it obviously starts turning into a noodle.
Or if it's hot, if you're drinking something hot through it.
gross.
You know, the one thing when this was all coming up, I was watching the news and they were talking about Starbucks, and the news was making a big deal about the revolutionary technology in paper straws and what a great thing it is.
Yeah, I remember those at the zoo. Yeah.
And I'm going, have these people never experienced a pixie stick? Paper straws been around for years.
Well, straws were paper before they were plastic, right?
The big ones were, but you used to get big old bags full of the paper pixie sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the big ones, huge, tall, fat ones, the Patrick sounding straws were the huge pixie sticks. But these were just normal ones, and they're just made out of paper. Where's the brilliant technology in that?
You guys looked confused when I said a Twizzler.
Yeah.
Have you guys not ever used a Twizzler as a
No,
straw?
I've heard of this,
No.
but I
You
don't do
bite
it.
off each end of it, and then you drink chocolate milk through it.
Ooh.
With a Twizzler?
No.
There's a hole in the middle of it. It's like a straw.
I know the concept. Yeah, why chocolate milk? That's why I'm
Well,
going, ugh.
It's because I drank that when I was a
I
kid.
heard like do it
why
with
it's
like a
good.
soda or something, but not.
Yeah,
Chocolate
soda.
milk.
Or Dr. Pepper, I think, would probably be like the best thing.
Yeah.
Through us.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. They tweeted a picture from a Starbucks in California, and they showed like the rack of straws, of the paper straws, and each one was individually wrapped in plastic.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
Oh, I have a list of places of cities that are already going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is San Francisco one of them?
Gotta be.
Where they give out needles every day and they just let everybody shit.
I don't
all
see
over
it
the
on
streets?
this list here. I see. Well, first, New York City, Hawaii, California have pending straw ban legislation. After that, it's California. For California, it's Alameda, Carmel, San Luis Obispo, I can't say that, Davis, Malibu, Manhattan Beach, Oakland, Richmond, and Berkeley. For Washington, it's Seattle and Edmonds. New Jersey is Monmouth Beach. Florida is Miami Beach and Fort Myers.
Maybe. I think I know that there is, in certain beaches that it could be bad for like birds and shit, but I just think the whole thing is just, to me, it's just politicians pandering to, people who are like, they love animals and the environment. They're like, oh yeah, we'll have straws. Let's do straws.
Irene, what are the hashtags today? What do you need to worry about? There are a lot of people worried about straws. What's this thing with the straws? Tell me about the straws right now.
I enjoy the meme up there of Mel Gibson.
They can stick our bendy straws.
I thought that was a hockey stick.
Oh, I didn't even realize he's holding a bendy straw.
It's a meme of what was his character's name?
What's his name?
I forgot his name.
We could have been a
Braveheart.
Yeah, it's in Braveheart. It's Mel Gibson holding a bendy straw.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Irish McKiltison.
Oh yeah, the great Irish McKiltison. He led that great war with the
arrows,
with the Nazis and
War
stuff.
of the bendy straws.
War of the big gulps.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of monks.
Oh,
monks. Something like that. It was monks versus
Irishmen.
Yeah.
So
Weird thing.
I know Bekah had a question she wanted to ask us to set us up for something else, perhaps next week.
Perhaps, yeah. I'd really like to do it next week, but we all have to be committed to putting some thought into it.
Oh, I know where that's going.
Yeah, we've done great with it before. Let's try really hard. All right, so I want to pose a question. We briefly discussed this amongst ourselves, but the listeners get to be in on it this time. I want to pose a question to you guys. What, if anything, would you consider to be an area that you are as close to an expert as you can be?
Oh, right.
So something you think you know a lot about, enough that you don't think we could stump you if we asked you questions about it.
I think it's more like, what's the thing you know the most about? Because I don't think, even the stuff that we know the most about, I wouldn't even say I'm anywhere near an expert, and I don't think you guys would either. But
well, I'm using expert loosely.
Yeah, right.
I'm not an expert at any fucking thing at all. Not even close.
You're loosely an expert.
Loosely.
Right.
A loose leaf expert?
Yes, a loose leaf
I know a lot about paper.
Trapper keepers, folders, manila, or black?
Ask me how many centimeters between holes for the binder. I don't know. All right. So college ruled or wide ruled? What's your favorite? Just kidding.
College
okay,
ruled.
what are you
College
guys
ruled.
self-proclaimed experts with quotations around it in? Steve-O.
Oh, we're doing this now.
We're establishing what we think we know a lot about. And then we have a week for each of us to come up with one question for each of us to try to stop.
Oh, okay.
So
what's your thing? What do you think you know?
It has to be space.
Yeah,
Has to be
It
space.
has to be space.
For all of us, not for Steve-O. Everybody said it has to be space. Okay, space for Steve-O. Patrick, what do you got?
Cell phones.
Really? Just all of them? Okay.
I mean, he said that with confidence.
Yeah,
I get paid for it, so.
Okay, Nathan, what did you go with? I know you had lots of ideas floating. What'd you go with?
I mean, I've forgotten a lot of the Bible stuff, but I know a lot about the Bible. I know a lot. You want to ask me questions about reptiles and amphibians?
That would be, yeah. You guys like that one?
I can clear fucking Jeopardy categories on reptiles and amphibians, no doubt.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to find something to stump him.
Was that your inner monologue?
Oh, that came out. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna fix his red wagon. Okay, well, for your first trivia question, spell amphibian.
AMPHIBIAN.
IAN. Okay, I got amphibine.
Well, I had already written it down on here. He was just reading off of where I wrote
that's
it.
all I was doing.
Dave, what are you an expert in?
I don't think I'm an expert at anything. I fancy myself a Renaissance man.
The Renaissance? Okay.
Jeez,
I like to know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know,
Spelled Renaissance. How about that?
You know, I know just enough about a lot of things to make a mess or get myself in trouble.
Okay, here. How about this? What do you know considerably more about than what we know?
While he's thinking, can anybody seriously spell Renaissance? I think I can.
RENNAISANCE.
I think it's 2 S's. I think it's 2 N's, 2 S's. To the phone.
You can. Yeah, I was going to say you can type it in a text message.
Hey, Siri, how do you
I
spell
beat you. It's 1 N, 2 S's. 1 N, 2.
Okay.
Well, Bekah, while Dave is
pondering what he's an expert in,
I feel like Bekah's needs to be, and I feel like it's going to be hard for any of us that haven't actually watched the show, but I feel like Bekah's has got to be Lost.
Yeah, he did suggest that it be Lost. I was thinking possibly specifically Ocarina of Time, the Legend of Zelda game, specifically that game. But I think
you did say Zelda.
I did say, well, yeah, that's when we were talking about it last week. Yeah. I said Zelda first, but then Nathan said it's definitely Lost. It should be Lost. I think he's right. I think that, but see, the thing is though, is like, if somebody asked me, there are so many things somebody could ask me about that I couldn't answer. Like what,
wait, I'm gonna write this down.
Write it down. How many seconds long is season 5?
Oh, I wouldn't
4?
say ask stuff like that. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
That's nitpicking.
Yeah.
What object was sitting behind Chubby Guy when he said this?
His name's Hurley.
Hurley.
Answer
is
Hugo, actually.
It was a tiki torch.
Yeah.
So mine Lost.
What's the song? Hey y'all, everybody.
No, it's you all, everybody.
You all, everybody. Like that is so terrible. They just like
it's really bad.
They just gave up. They're like, yeah, we need some lyrics. You know, we need like a catchy, like a hook for this made-up band for this made-up song. You all, everybody.
You guys acting like stupid people.
It's so bad. And it's not even like trying to be like a punk song, which usually punk songs are terrible, but
the thing is though, it's a one-hit wonder. That's the whole point behind it. It was a terrible song. It was a one-hit wonder. His inspiration for his band was Oasis. His inspiration for the band Drive Shaft, which is Charlie's band in Lost. Charlie is Dominic Monaghan.
Who is also Lord of the Rings.
Dave, you came up with something?
I am staring off into space, desperately trying to come up with something that I feel confident about. There's just nothing.
Fake languages that you've made up.
Like
childhood delinquency.
Yes. Hey, that's your thing.
Yes.
Switching the first letters of 2 different words.
That's
you
pretty
are
good.
An expert in that.
We could ask you lots of questions about that.
let's just ask Dave random fucking questions.
I like
something we think Dave could possibly know.
My idea was for Dave, for his to be like World War II era.
I appreciate that you think I do.
Throwing cats at things.
But
yeah. What all you can do with cats.
Procrastinating mowing the lawn.
You know, there's an awful lot about World War II I don't know.
Me too.
And I get some things from World War I and World War II, certain battles and those things. I get a lot of that mixed up sometimes. So
everybody pick a random question.
Random question for Dave.
Random information.
Can you like send that in the group text?
Yes, I will send a list of all the things we're experts in.
All right.
So we, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, my thing is not numbers. The 5 of us have 1 week to come up with one question for each person to try and stump them. Okay. Homework. Yeah. All right. And hey, listeners, if you got questions, you know exactly where to send them, don't you?
verbalassault2016@gmail.com, because some people like to put the year in the email address.
when it started.
I guess,
hey,
I guess that's cool.
That to our advantage. No, you can't prove that just because it says 2016 that it was done in 2000.
That's true.
You can see when it got set up.
1994. We've been around fucking forever.
Someone's gonna be out there posing as us, and we gotta take him down.
2 podcasts a year.
Hey, people could actually call and leave their questions on our voicemail too, besides just the email.
Yeah.
That phone number, in case you're wondering, is 865-316-6955.
Okay.
This is a weird thing going on. Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that when that number goes, I have to repeat it in a fancy fashion.
Let's go, Dave.
865-316-6955.
So angelic. Man, so angelic with the Jesus arms.
Beautiful.
Yes.
That's really good.
So angelic with the Jesus arms.
Yeah,
I mean, my poem already has a name.
I mean, I wasn't saying we were going to be, but that's just what we do. When he says the number, I just say a number. I didn't mean we're done. I mean, how long have we been going?
We can do it at the beginning of the show.
It's been a shorter podcast.
Well, I actually had something that I wanted to talk about because you guys might start hearing about it in the news cycles over the next week, and I can.
What did you get caught doing?
I'm a Domino's driver. I'm just trying to go home.
Well, this is something that's actually kind of exciting. I don't know if it's going to be covered all that much, but today NASA announced the astronauts that are going to be the ones riding on Boeing's Starliner and SpaceX's Dragon. So these are the astronauts that will be the first ones to launch from U.S. soil since the space shuttle was retired. And so we have the names of the first 2 that will be on SpaceX's Dragon, and there'll actually be 3 on Boeing's, because Boeing is sending their own astronaut. They hired an ex-NASA astronaut as their own sort of test pilot astronaut. So they're doing 2 NASA astronauts and their own. But again, the one that's their own was already a NASA astronaut before. If I can find their names, it was right.
This is on their next launch that they're doing?
No, okay, so first they each have to do a test flight with just their capsule with nobody in it. And we also have target dates for that, which is also another big deal, because originally they had said, SpaceX is going to do it in August, which August is here and it's not happening. But they're going to go now in November, supposedly, their first uncrewed test. And then it's supposed to be January for their first crewed launch. And Boeing actually they were doing a test. It's called a pad abort test, where they set the capsule on the pad, just run it as if the capsule needed to escape with the astronauts, and they run that test. Well, there was a problem. It was leaking hydrazine when it was over, and that's something that can kill astronauts. So if you were to, it was a successful abort, but then once the abort was over and they had landed, it was leaking something that would kill the astronauts. So Boeing has actually been set back at least a few months, if not more. So it looks like now SpaceX will probably be the first one to send people up to the space station, but it's still pretty close.
Hydrazine, that makes more sense then.
And actually,
I heard jelly. I heard it was leaking jelly beans. I didn't understand that.
Did you actually hear him say jelly?
It's November, and then I said January. I'm pretty sure it's April that they're going to send people for the first time with SpaceX. So,
that would be one.
Where are they sending them to, though?
To the space station. This is going to be the start of the commercial crew contract. They awarded SpaceX and Boeing multiple billions of dollars a few years ago to develop capsules that could carry NASA astronauts up to the space station. And of course they can, they use that to develop it, and they can still use those capsules for whatever they want. So once all the testing and everything is done and they're certified, that's going to be how NASA astronauts get to the space station, instead of having to use the Russian rockets all the time. Because you guys know we pay, I think it's $82 million per seat on the Russian Soyuz rocket, and that's a little bit less than what it costs to send one SpaceX rocket anyway. I mean, with people on board, I imagine it's probably going to be closer to 150 million. But they can, we could do it a lot cheaper.
I want to see that. I want to see that launch.
Yeah.
I want to see a launch.
Yeah,
that would be definitely the one to come for. That would be the shit. That's going to be one like Falcon Heavy was. I think people are going to really start getting excited again about it once we know that there's people launching on our own rockets. Jim Bridenstine is the NASA administrator. He must have said 10 times, American astronauts on American rockets from American soil.
I like it.
That's right. Yeah. Trump Space Force.
Yeah. And it got a lot of applause every time he said it. So it's really exciting. A lot of people, they think NASA's dead, and obviously that's not the case. People get confused. They know that the shuttle doesn't fly anymore, so they think NASA's shut down. NASA's been busy doing lots of other stuff.
It's not dead. It just smells funny. That's it.
Right. And here pretty soon we're going to be able to launch our own astronauts and have a really good reason to come down to Florida and watch a launch, because people get bored. Like, what's launching? There's no people. Oh, I don't care. When it's just a satellite or something, people generally don't care that much. But when you put people,
Steve-O, when are they sending the monkey?
Oh, yeah, they got to do the monkey or the dog first.
Maybe. Ooh, I know. The first time SpaceX did their test mission with their cargo capsule, they sent up a wheel of cheese.
I just like saying monkey because every time I say that, it looks like it annoys you. You're like, what, monkey?
People just don't go around together and go to these events. I mean, that's kind of been a darn thing. Ever since Bull Run, it's just kind of fallen off.
Yeah.
Bad things.
I mean, I'm just saying, they might sneak a monkey on the first test flight. Who knows?
Okay.
Mika Snunky.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can go off into space and create the real life Planet of Apes.
Yes.
That'd be sweet.
All he's got to do is go really, really fast, and then he will end up in the future. That's all you got to do.
Right.
You just got to go really, really fast.
Go faster than 88 miles per hour to happen.
Exactly.
That's right. Test pilot.
No, you gotta whip around the sun really fast and then come back. That's what they did in Star Trek 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we're just gonna go around the sun and then do a U-turn, come back, and that's all you need.
Superman.
Go back in time.
Just go around the Earth really fast.
Yeah, make it go backwards.
Yes. And then that'll reverse time.
Yes. It's true.
I've done it several times.
The only reason we don't travel through time is because we know it's unsafe to spin the Earth backwards. It's just it'll fuck up all the schedules and logistics and trains and planes and automobiles.
Shells fall over.
Yeah.
Take that, flat earthers.
Yeah.
Can't spin it.
Superman did it.
You got to twist it. Bop it.
Bop it.
Someone needs to do a crowd fund or something for a flat earther and put them up on that rocket. Say, hey, listen, we'll pay for your ticket, but we really need you to take pictures.
Oh, they were wanting to do that with what's his name?
It was a steam powered rocket.
No. Rogan was doing it for what's that dude's name?
Oh yeah, what's his the guy that's always on Eddie Bravo,
Yeah. They were wanting to be able to launch him up into the atmosphere so he can see the Earth.
It'll soon. Well, he could totally do it. Yeah, those guys. I mean, Rogan, I'm sure could just pay for the ticket himself and just take Eddie Bravo with him. But I mean, it will be in the next 2 years. Either Virgin Galactic or Blue Origin is gonna be flying passengers in the next couple years, and it's gonna be a couple $100,000.
Yeah, I feel ashamed. I got in a brief debate with a flat earther online a couple weeks ago.
Man, you should. Do you got screenshots?
No, it was just so dumb, and what he was saying was so. The way he was trying to twist the argument, I felt like he was basically. It was so dumb. I thought he was basically LARPing. He was faking. He was just what they call a Poe. He's just play acting for the joke of it. He wasn't really serious. He was just satirizing the whole thing. But this guy makes videos, and my argument was, I might say, really good, and he just said a lot of weird shit at me, and to find I was like, I'm not okay.
Yeah, I think it'd be more worthwhile to debate other people in the comments, but the person making the video, that's his livelihood. He has a vested interest in making sure he never changes his mind. And
okay, here's what it was. Here's what it was. I forgot. It was about perspective, and what I explained to him, like if the sun travels across a flat plane, then no matter how far it goes, it's not going to below the horizon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It might go so far that eventually it would vanish. Well, it's not. It's the sun.
It would seem like it's really close to the horizon, but it would never go below it.
It would seem really close to the horizon, and it would get smaller and smaller. But what we have is a sun that stays the same size,
and
it goes over the horizon. But
yeah. There's like mountains and stuff, though. You can't always see past those. I'm with this flat Earth guy.
Nathan's face when she was like, "No,
it was like a game changer."
Well,
What?
No, I knew this. But I was like, you can even lay down on the beach, and when the sun goes over the horizon, you can stand up, and then you can see that little sliver of the sun again.
Yep.
And he just what the guy said was, and I just now remember it was, you don't stand up and look down to see the sun. You're not looking down, you're not looking down over the
you can
over the, and I'm like, you kind of are. You're just
in a building if you're
looking straight out, and it was he just kept was like, you're not looking down, you're looking straight out, and it's I just at that point I was,
what about you probably didn't think of it, but there's the building in Dubai, the tallest building in the world or whatever, where you can watch the sunset from the ground, and then you can take an elevator to the top floor and watch it again.
Yeah, you're not looking down, Steve-O.
Oh.
That's just what he said. That's just what he kept saying. I just was like, I don't even know how to. Okay.
Is the sun flat too? Is the Earth? If the Earth is flat, they think the sun's flat.
No, all the planets are round.
Yes, except for
this one.
It's just
no. Some of them differ on that point.
Oh, okay.
Some of them do. Some think the planets are out there and round, and this one is just flat, and others think that that it's more like a flat, like a flat disc that is always facing us, basically. But somehow, I mean, it doesn't make
change. They obviously rotate.
Yeah, it would have to change shape to for everybody to see it the way it doesn't make sense physically, but that's kind of what they.
I don't need to get into this because clearly we don't need to really don't need to explain that the Earth is round. Like, we just don't.
It's like Steve-O said the other week. I live in a world where we had a moon landing.
Well, what are you trying to say, Bekah? I want.
We could talk to someone on the other side of the Earth right now and ask them, "Can you see the sun?" You know.
Yeah.
If the Earth was flat, like.
And miraculously, the sun sets about an hour later per time zone that you go west. And now, why would that be? No matter where you are on the Earth, as you go towards the west, the sun.
They think it's like a spot. Like if you imagine the UN flag, okay, the world's laid out that way, even though it wouldn't work that way. The distances don't work. But let's just imagine they do. They imagine then that the sun is like a spotlight, and it goes like this. Is what they think.
But if there was like a can light, like from a stage, like a stage light, and it was over there, and it wasn't shining down on me, but I'd still see that light. I'd still be able to see up into the canister, and see that there's some light inside the canister.
You're not looking down. You're not looking down.
Oh, I'm not looking down.
None of it.
Wait, I'm not, and I should be, or I'm not because I can't.
I'm not here. You should know.
You can't get past the ice wall to look down.
How can they explain?
It's like we talked about.
We've talked about this so many times.
No, it's like it's the first time all over again. I like it.
Yeah.
How could they explain it getting completely dark? The sky being completely dark.
It's just the spotlight. It's like really far
away. It's no shit. I said like there's mountains.
Air's like dense. It's just like density in the air, and you just can't see.
Because the Earth is flat, but it's not. It's got terrain. It's not.
The water would have fallen off by now if it was round.
Well, yeah.
No, it's not like the first time, because the first time we talked about this, I didn't believe it was such a thing.
That's right. Yeah,
I was like, "Nah, y'all just pulling my leg. Y'all just fucking with me."
He hadn't gone to those dark corners.
It gets so deep and dark.
You guys have corrupted me.
Like a sounding.
I don't even know
straw.
what sounding was.
How?
Yeah, you do, and now you've done it. That's cool.
How can they explain? How can they think the Earth is flat if the moon has the cycles that it has? Like,
that's assuming they have the cycles.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, they do.
They would.
Like,
I guess they would think that the moon circles around it also like the
just
sun,
like the sun.
and then the tide would be attracted
no.
to where the moon is, so you'd still have
Some also
tides.
think that it's just a hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a soon. One side of the coin
it's like
is the
projected
sun.
on the underside of the dome.
Okay, and then what produces the tides? Is it just a giant wave pool?
We don't know what produces a tide.
It's
God,
just a
God
really
does
big
that.
coincidence.
Ask Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
You have to be looking down for that.
Yeah, God does that.
It's the world snake breathing.
It's every day God wakes up and he throws the covers off of them, and it just sends a wave throughout the world, and that's your tides.
With the Earth.
It's the sun taking a piss in a giant puddle.
It's
That's what tides are.
It's the turtle that we're riding on.
Oh, he's rocking back and forth. That's right.
Yep.
Sloshing.
Yep. He's just wheeling around through space.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, we still need to do that flat Earth video.
I know, man. I think about it every time I pass the Ace Hardware.
All right, Bekah. It's that time of the show again.
Waiting my entire life for this moment. Okay, so this one is called Gold Baby.
Gold Baby.
Gold Baby.
The knockoff, the bootleg version of Golden Child.
There's a porn star called.
Dave said Gold Baby. That's what I thought of.
There's a good porn star named Goldie Baby.
Okay.
A good one.
All right, thanks for that.
Goody Goldie Baby.
Moving on.
That's a good one.
What'd she do?
Patrick's here, Steve-O. We don't need a Patrick.
How
We got
she-
one.
Sex on camera. Huh?
Yeah, like what makes her good?
She's just hot, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
No.
No.
Kind of Goldie.
We don't need any VR goggles.
You don't have your favorites?
Mr. McSticky Hands.
You actually like pick
Mr.
favorites?
VR.
Oh yeah, you see a girl you really like, you better save that one.
Save.
Yeah, you got your favorite
Like save that one from her life.
Swoop in like a white.
No, you just
Too
keep
much
make friends with her and make an honest woman.
you just keep looking for those videos of that actress.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Bekah Gold Baby.
I want to hear about this Gold Baby.
Goody Goldie Baby. Is what it's called now. People often want to reverse a lot of the things that have been said. Plenty of truth to reference, but we have to protect you from the big picture. A picture that will fuck with you. Hear what we say now and accept it. The problem is somehow simpler than the solution. If the goal is to minimize violent situations, we better make those few count. Every day, God wakes up, but he's not looking down.
That was one of your best ones.
Like some
Every week.
last minute line in there too.
Yeah.
That was because you guys gave me that last minute material.
That's right.
I was so happy.
That's nice.
That made me really happy.
I don't know how you just take all the dumb shit we say and make it so profound.
Yeah.
So profound. A philosophy book.
That's what we should have done should have done poetry
We just
for
did.
your question.
Oh,
your
yeah, that's your expert thing. Hey, everybody, go out there and look at Mars.
Go look at Mars.
Like, is this for Sunday?
Well, it actually,
right now.
the opposition was officially on the 31st, so I kind of dropped the ball on saying it ahead of time. But, I mean, we're talking about astronomical scales here. These changes take place over long periods of time. So if you go out there tonight or Sunday night or whatever, Mars is going to look big and bright.
All right.
Do we have to look down?
Well, you can't look down.
Oh.
Look up.
You can't
Lay
look
down on your back, and you feel like you're looking down.
You might be able to
If
see
you're
it when the
facing
sun's out.
I wasn't sure if that was audible. No, you can't. The moon, I think, is the only thing you can see. I've seen pictures of people taking pictures of planets during the day, but you need some professional equipment to be able to find it in the first place.
Yeah, you need to be able to block that spotlight, that sun Yeah, you need a
either that or just get the right crystals.
Big old lamp.
Bright crystals.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Haywood Banks, for our theme song.
Leave a review on iTunes and support us on Patreon.
Leave us a voicemail if you're into that sort of thing. I already said it, but it bears repeating.
Yeah.
Break the cycle.
Might as well do it again.
865-316-6955.
Back for a performance. 865-316-6955.
Beautiful harmonies there.
All right.